there, everyone. I'm Nathan Fillion. You might know me from such TV shows as Castle and Firefly, and I'm also the DCAU's Green Lantern. Glad you stopped by today to watch Alex's review of Green Lantern Emerald Knights. It's a great film. And he's also a pretty swell guy, too. Just thought I'd stop in and say hello. Alright. Green Lantern Emerald Knight. Why is the camera already? What's going on? Wait, what? Nathan Fillion was here a minute ago? God damn it, I missed him. Did he say anything nice about me? I mean, he's a really cool guy. Maybe that feeling's mutual? Ah, man. Can't believe I missed him. Huh, oh well. This is my review of Green Lantern Emerald Knights. Much like Batman Gotham Knights, Green Lantern Emerald Knights is also an anthology film, and we kick right off with a universe-ending event. The antimatter universe tyrant Krona is about to break through the sun of Oa, and the Guardians are admittedly freaking out. So they call up all the Lanterns to get back to Oa, charge up your rings, and prepare for the counterattack. And it's here we are introduced to our heroes. Nathan Fillion playing Hal Jordan once again, and Elizabeth Moss, Peggy from Mad Men, that's kind of neat, playing his brand new rookie Lantern, Arisa. It's her first day on the job, and it is the end of the universe. No pressure. So we find out that she was a student, like, college level, before she got picked up by the Lanterns to come and be a part of the Corps. And Hal decides to put her mind at ease by sharing with her a couple of different stories. And his first story is about the first Lantern. Eons and eons ago, the universe is again under siege, as it is, and the Guardians create the first 4 Lantern rings. And during the ring selection ceremony, it's thought that only the strongest warriors in the galaxy will receive a ring, until Avra, a scribe, receives the 4th ring and is sent out to save the universe with the rest of the team, Goo, Watchet, and Blue. No idea who these people are. And while this foursome is admittedly powerful, they are still outmatched. And it's at this point that Avra makes a realization. These rings are powered by will. And we have to will our survival. We have to will our victory. And it's at that point that he was able to produce the very first construct, which is what we are typically seeing the Green Lanterns do. They make, weapons and all different kinds of fun objects out of their constructs. He makes a giant sword and cuts through the entire armada, blowing the entire thing up. It's pretty wicked. And it's at that point that Avra becomes sort of like the first teacher of the Latern Corp, showing everybody how to create constructs. And then we get to see just the passing on of the rings and the teaching and so on and so forth. And basically the idea here is that no matter what you are in life, you can make a difference. A student becomes a Lantern. A scribe becomes a Lantern. It's a really cool lesson to share. So that puts Arisa's mind at ease until she bumps into Kilowog, voiced by Henry freaking Rollins. That's awesome. Who keeps reminding her, hey kid, boot camp's a-coming. Arisa is decidedly freaked out, and Hal's like, calm down, let me tell you another story. And we get to learn the story of Kilowog's boot camp. He's on a squad with Tomar Ray and 2 other Lanterns under the direction of Sergeant Deegan, who is the hardest ass in the entire galaxy. This guy's a bit of a jerk. He takes them to an active volcano without their rings and basically says, let me see what you're made of. And he's constantly antagonizing the group. Leave a man behind. It doesn't matter. Get yourself out of there. All for one and nobody else. But Kilowog doesn't agree with him, and he's constantly butting heads with him, and eventually calls him out for being a sadistic murderer, saying, you bring us out here to die? What's the point? And it's at that point Deegan has enough, takes his own ring off, and beats the crap out of Kilowog. And basically says, now that you're a Lantern, your life is not your own. Your squad, that's your family. You now live the life of a Lantern, you live and die so that innocence may live. And that's his code, and that's what he's trying to instill on Kilowog and the rest of the squad. It's at this point that they have to address an invasion force on another planet. So they go there, and Deegan takes them all head on. He tells Kilowog and the rest of his squad to go and save the civilians, and he goes on a one-man rampage against this invading army. And he does a pretty damn good job. Hearing him, roar the creed of the Lantern, and brightest day and blackest night, giving him his power is just pretty impactful and really cool, up until the point where he is finally subdued by a giant laser cannon. Kilowog comes in, cleans up the rest of the bad guys, but sees that Deegan is mortally wounded. And he's saddened by that. He's like, hey, we need to save you. We got to get you out of here. And he's like, no. You need to understand what I've been doing this whole time has been for the better of your own training. I would have never let you die in these training missions. I'm here to make sure that you all survive. It's my job as a Lantern. The life of a Lantern is to die for others, and I'm going to do that for you. And Kilowog is admittedly touched by this, and Deegan takes a bloodied hand and draws the insignia of the Lanterns on Kilowog's chest. It's a pretty cool and pretty touching scene, and at that point, Kilowog takes over Deegan's position, and he in turn becomes the sort of, the boot camp coordinator for the Green Lantern Corps. And again, calling everybody he runs into Poozer. Apparently that means something kind of mean in some other language. Who knows? So as now that her mind has been put at ease, they arrive on one of the border patrol stations that they've erected outside the sun of Oa. And it's at this point we're introduced to Lyra, one of the more powerful Green Lanterns, who is reciting a prophecy. And Arissa's, again, a little bit freaked out. And so Hal, once again, tells her a story of Lyra, who was originally a princess on the planet of Jade, and whose power was derived from the Golden Dragon. And she is on her very first solo mission back to her home planet. And we find out that her father has been ordering just massacres, challenging anybody who he thinks challenges his own honor and his own place in the universe. So Lyra's dispatched to basically stop what's going on, and she runs into her father's mistress, and she beats the crap out of him. And then she meets her brother, and beats the crap out of her. But when she faces her father, she's saddened by the fact that the war crimes were not anyone else's decision. They were her own decision. And he had been driven essentially insane by the loss of honor, since he was not the recipient of the ring when his planet was first under siege and a Green Lantern came to save them. The ring went to Lyra. And we get this really cool fight scene. While this culture is obviously inspired by more Japanese, aesthetics, so we see more, Japanese-esque weapons and more hand-to-hand martial arts combat. It's a really, really cool scene. And ultimately, Lyra is able to defeat her father, and he understands that the greater good of having to serve as a Lantern is so much more important than, just family honor, And he redeems himself in his last moments by, committing ritual suicide, saying, you have earned, the honor. You are the true protector of Jade. Thank you, Green Lantern Lyra. It's a rather emotional scene, seeing a father finally come to terms with his own daughter and her own destiny. It's a really, really cool scene. So at that point, we are back at the patrol station, and every Lantern has literally arrived. We were talking dozens of Lanterns, except for Mogo. And Hal, again, tells Arissa a story about Mogo. And we are introduced to Balfunga, the Unrelenting, who is this megalomaniac warlord whose only mission in life is to kill everybody. If they challenge him, he kills them. And he learns from one of his conquests that there is a Green Lantern out there, the most powerful Green Lantern of all, named Mogo. And he's like, all right, time to go kill Mogo. So, Balfunga takes off into space, lands on a planet, and begins a planet-wide search for Mogo. He dispatches some of these drones that are constantly chiming in, warning, Lantern energy detected. And Balfunga's like, where the heck is this guy? And as he is running through and destroying everything in his path to find Mogo, we start to see Green Lantern energy heal the planet. And it makes you wonder, what actually is Mogo? So finally, Balfunga, I'm not going to get tired of doing that, decides to flush him out the only way he knows how, by setting bombs across the planet. And as he detonates all of the bombs, the planet starts to heal in response to it. And it's at that point, he's like, whoa, ship, let's get out of here. Because he has realized that Mogo is the planet he's on. A living planet Green Lantern. And we get this awesome scene of Mogo blasting a Balfunga ship and pulling him back down onto the planet, saying, no, bro, you're not going anywhere. You're in my house now. It's a goofy short. Doesn't take itself seriously at all. It's just really just goofy seeing Balfunga just trip over himself, just going insane trying to find Mogo. So back at Oa's Sun, we have our first attack by Krona's shadow demons. And Orissa's actually saved by Sinestro, who we know would eventually become a Yellow Lantern. And Sinestro begins to speak of the prophecy of Oa and how it will be destroyed. And he relates the story of his old friend Abin Sur, who actually gave Hal Jordan his ring. And our story starts as Abin Sur is fighting Atrocitus, who has the ability to see the future and communicate with destiny. And Abin Sur is, helped by Sinestro to capture him, and they have a conversation en route to drop Atrocitus back off at his prison planet about the concept of destiny and the concept of, luck and, predisposition and all things like that. And Sinestro is of the opinion that destiny doesn't exist. Their meeting and their friendship is all luck. And Abin Sur is of the opposite mindset, saying, nope, this is all meant to happen. And it's really kind of touching to have these two very old friends, and while they disagree, to see their respect for each other. And it's at this point we get some pretty cool hints about potential future Green Lantern projects dropped on us. Abin Sur takes Atrocitus back to this prison planet, and as he's locking him up, he starts to talk about Abin Sur's death and how Sinestro will rise up against the Corps and create his own Latern Corp, which we know is the Yellow Lanterns of Fear. And he talks about the War of Light. And of course, if you're a Green Lantern fan, you know what that possibly entails. If we get to see Red Lanterns, Blue Lanterns, Indigo Lanterns, the Scarlet, the Star Sapphires, all that. That could be a really exciting movie. And there's even a hint that Sinestro kind of is already thinking about this when he mentions to Atrocitus, if I had a power ring for every time I heard that, I'd have my own core. It's just it's a cute little nod, and I really like it. So finally, the hour is at hand, and Krona has stepped through Oa's Sun, and it's go time. And again, we get another little hint at a potential movie in the Green Lantern universe when Orissa asks if this is the Blackest Night that everyone's been talking about. If you know what the Blackest Night is, you know it's the arrival of the Black Latern Corps, the villain Necron, the embodiment of death in the DC universe, the arrival of the White Lanterns, Batman White Lantern. Come on! Give me that! But the fight is all for naught. The Lanterns simply cannot contain Krona. And it's at this point that Orissa has an idea. She says, well, if we can destroy antimatter with matter, we just need something big enough to just throw at Krona. And if he wants Oa, let's give it to him. So the Lanterns race back to Oa, and they team up by using their power rings to push Oa into Krona's path, to basically collide with him and destroy him, hopefully. But Krona catches it, and he's like, nope, I'm going to blow it up. And it's at this point that Mogo finally arrives. He comes up just whoop, and just the mother of all energy blast, and helps push Oa into Krona, destroying him in an instant. It is a really cool scene, seeing all of these lanterns go full on Super Saiyan and just, it's neat. Krona is defeated, and Mogo volunteers to become the temporary home for the Lanterns as they rebuild a new Oa. Arisa gets a page in the Book of Oa for being a genius, and Sinestro's like, hey, we were right. Oa wasn't going to be destroyed. Prophecy. So that is Emerald Knights there for you. I actually like a lot of the animation here. It is, again, I'm always impressed by just how good these movies look. The fight scenes especially when we see Lyra, the mistress, the brother, and the dad all fight against each other. It's a really cool, very technical fight scene. All of the ship-to-lantern combat and the story of the first Lantern is fantastic. Even Bowfunga and his rampage across Mogo is just, it is a delight to watch. It's a very well animated movie. On the flip side, though, it's a very little substance. You know, there's a lot of entertainment here, but it just goes right at the surface and not much deeper than that. There's really no character development for any of the Lanterns we see here. The shorts are just too short, so we never actually get to see anything beyond just what happens in that moment in time. A lot of these, especially the one with Lyra, I feel could be stretched out into a full length, or even at least maybe just a longer feature, maybe a half hour, however it's going to be. But it's just a little bit too short in each of the story's content. There's not enough substance, and the characters are introduced we just have no connection to. You know, I don't know anything about these first four Lanterns. I don't know who Lyra is. And if you're just a casual fan of Green Lantern, you probably won't know who they are either, but it is a decent starting point to kind of get a better understanding about the Green Lantern universe. I just wish that we had gotten a little bit more. You know, we hear about the War of Light, but when are we going to see the red, the blue, and the indigo lanterns? That's going to be really cool if we ever get to see that, but that's not now. And so as it is, it's just a little bit inconsequential. And now I'm even looking at the box art from the producers of the movie Green Lantern. That's probably not a good thing to put on your box. So yeah. If you're curious about Green Lanterns, definitely check it out. It's worth a watch. There's just not a whole lot of substance here. It's a good little entertaining flick, though. Now, next week, Batman, Year One. Most of these I've seen only a handful of times. I've only seen Year One once, but it is aside from the Dark Knight pair, is the one that I'm the most excited to talk about because it's one of the better Batman stories ever written. And I'm really excited to talk about that. I hope you guys are too. If you have an idea for something that I should also review, let me know. We're about halfway through this DC Animated Movie Universe series, so I'm going to need more things to review at some point. So let me know in the comments what you thought about Green Lantern Emerald Knights, what I should review in the future, and anything else, really. And be sure to check out everything else I'm doing on the channel with all of my friends, the podcast, all that good stuff. But this has been my review of Green Lantern Emerald Knights. Let me tell you a story. Thanks for watching, guys.